A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, hello.
The dial, traveling at a speed at 33 1/3 RPMs, where the vinyl will bring you to your new preferred destination. Ladies and gentlemen, I am one of your hosts and co-creator, Ferris Kennedy, and in the studio with me, as always, the man, the myth, the legend,
Dr. Ian Clark,
better known as Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. Is that what it is?
I know, Steve.
Steve Derringer?
Whatever his name is, Rick Derringer.
Rick Derringer. Right. So, today, Ian, we are doing the once a year show.
Which we have to.
Because where does it end? What is classic rock, and where do we go from here?
And one of the things is we do this once a year because we get so many requests, people writing in, talking to us, and they're confused. And when we began this podcast about 1991, we were confused too. So that's why once a year, like salmon spawning, we do a show on what is classic rock. I think I might have nailed it for me, and I'll get to that. Okay, I'm going to do something radical today. It must be the weather, who knows? But what I'm going to do is go back and celebrate. I'm going back to the classic definition of classic rock. Over the years, Mr. Kennedy and I have envisioned classic rock as something that was not static. Our definition held that classic rock, more or less, all rock that happened more than 25 years ago was classic rock. That's from the present day. So in other words, it's a moving target. I now believe this to be a faulty approach. Let me explain. As rock and roll has progressed, there have been more and more genres and subgenres added to defining what it is you're listening to. Spotify has helped in this regard. And I'm okay with that, especially as I spent half of my youth hanging out in record stores. In those days, if a record store didn't know what was playing over the speakers, they put it under world music. And so you found Bob Marley beside Kraftwerk in the same bin. This is the AI definition of classic rock, and I think it's pretty good. Classic rock is a radio format of rock music, generally encompassing music from the mid-60s to the mid-90s, particularly focusing on the 70s and 80s. It's often associated with album-oriented rock, FM, and features guitar-driven, commercially successful blues and hard rock. The big classic rock acts, well, arguably Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, Rolling Stones, Beatles, Pink Floyd. Other notables, Queen, ZZ Top, Deep Purple, Van Halen, The Doors, and The Who. If we are to define classic rock by sound alone, then there are some key characteristics. Tracks that fall into this category will often be guitar-led, very simple chord progressions, rhythm and bluesy feel. That's what's termed classic here on the station. Take the Eagles, whose album, their greatest hit, 71-75, became America's best-selling album of all time until 2018. Classic rock is intrinsically linked with the adolescence of boomers, those born between 1946 and 1964. This would suggest that it is defined not necessarily by a specific sound, but by a specific era. I can go with that too. This places the golden era of classic rock roughly between 64 and 82. So where does that leave us with the following bands? The first one I mentioned is Mr. Kennedy's favorite, Foo Fighters. The Foo Fighters are primarily fall under the genre of alternative rock, but they also incorporate elements of post-grunge, hard rock, and even punk rock. They are known for their blend of heavy guitars and anthemic, arena-ready rock songs. Blondie, new wave. The Ramones, punk. Talking Heads, new wave. Nirvana, grunge. Black Sabbath, they're a hybrid, heavy metal and classic rock. Eagles, another hybrid, classic rock and country rock. Simon and Garfunkel, folk rock. So you have this 9-year period from 73 to 82, and that accounts for 57% of all songs played on classic rock stations. Besides a small trickle of music from 85 onward, the last year to make an actual dent in the listings is 1991, largely due to releases by Nirvana, Metallica, and U2. During the mid-80s, the classic rock format was mainly tailored to the adult male demographic, 25 to 34. Sure it was. And that remained its largest demographic throughout the 90s. Now, what happened was, as that group moved through space and time, so did classic rock. If you see what I mean, it's pegged to these older guys. The next point that really changed my mind is one I have to kind of emphasize. And I felt it for years, then I saw some great research. And folks, it all really comes down to money. Unfortunately, it's that simple. Radio stations decide what classic rock is based on what their listeners think classic rock is. I'll explain. The standard in the industry these days is an online music test or an auditorium music test where you gather a sample and have them rate songs based on the hooks, the most familiar parts of the song, and you just get back a whole lot of data. The stations find a cluster of people who like the music that makes up the core of classic rock and then find out what else they like. Oh, you also like REM? Well, now REM's now classic rock. It's that simple. It's just money. And so in 2014, here's what consumers considered to be prominent classic rock songs. They were the most played songs over 25 U.S. classic rock stations. Number 1, Dream On, Aerosmith. This is not in terms of rotation. This is just a list. Sweet Emotion, Aerosmith, All Along the Watchtower, Jimi Hendrix, You Shook Me All Night Long, AC/DC, More Than a Feeling, Boston, Carry On, Wayward Son, Kansas, Peace of Mind, that is Boston, Crazy on You, Heart, Legs, ZZ Top, Sharp Dressed Man, ZZ Top, Rock and Roll All Night by Kiss, Bohemian Rhapsody, Queen, Renegade, Styx, Magic Man, Heart, Wheel in the Sky, Journey, Blinded by the Light, Manfred Mann, Tom Sawyer, Rush, and The Joker from the Steve Miller Band. Has it changed much? Well, it depends where you live. What plays in New York, a disproportionate amount of Billy Joel, for example, won't fly in San Antonio, where they love Motley Crue. Okay, so where does that leave us? It leaves us just where we began. Yes, classic rock tends to be a market-driven concept, obviously. However, there's a good collection, a sizable number of boomers, let's say, who regress to the classic definition of classic rock. We seem to be comfortable with that, and I notice a lot of record stores are comfortable with that too. So, you're going to have to proceed with what you're comfortable with, a classic definition or one that scales with current audiences. And that's my take on it.
So you basically dissected that whole argument that we had, not argument, the discussion of the 18 song loop. It's like the same 18 songs.
I went over it and I thought about it. I said, okay, I can't keep upgrading this every year. I pretended I was a program manager at a station, and I'd have to say, listen, guys, we can't include Taylor Swift. We can't do this. We can't do that. We've got to just do what our audience wants. They want the Eagles. They want the Rolling Stones. They want ZZ Top. They want Aerosmith. They want Metallica. Well, I can't upgrade it farther than that because I can't sell advertising.
But you got a point, though, you're New York-based driven. Billy Joel, huge in New York, right?
Huge.
They love him in New York. So the thing is, the more Billy Joel in New York, they're happy. And Billy Joel is classic rock. Let's just...
He's classic rock, kind of fringe. And Metallica are big in San Antonio, Texas. So it depends where you are. But I just thought, this is silly. Kennedy and I upgrade this all the time. I just cut it off in mid-'80s. And I just have to live with that.
Well... I got something here, Ian.
Yeah.
I'm going to lead into this. So I'm going to start off with a quote. And this quote is Ice Cube's 2016 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction speech. And he started off with, rock and roll is not conforming to the people who came before you, but creating your own path in music and in life. That's rock and roll, and that is us. I think that's such a powerful statement by
Yeah.
Ice Cube. O'Shea Jackson that's what his mama called him, and he's just nailed it.
Where did he say that?
When he got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
Which is super conformist, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of
he kind of like said, you know,
kind of like irony, but it's ironic.
It
too.
is ironic.
He's up on his stage.
So, to start off, music has evolved significantly over the years, transforming not only in its artistic expression, but also in the formats through which it is consumed. In the past, music collections were often quantified by the number of milk crates one owned, whereas today, they are measured in megabytes. Interestingly, the resurgence of vinyl records has brought back the nostalgic charm of the 33 1/3 RPM era, prompting many to celebrate this revival. Physical music formats including vinyl, CDs, and cassettes have reemerged, and few would dispute the impact of iconic bands like the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, the Rolling Stones, Jimi Hendrix, and the Doors, which are often regarded as the pinnacle of classic rock. As you know, Dr. Clark mentioned these bands.
Right.
However, the definition of classic rock remains a topic of debate. Ian gave you a definition. Some argue it refers to a specific sound, while others contend it encompasses rock music older than 25 years. So this is where we are, 2025. So that means our bands in 2000, well, if they're rock...
That's where I disagree with it, but that's me.
Now, according to Wikipedia, classic rock is a radio format that originated from, like Ian had said, album-oriented rock style in the 1970s.
Really, yeah.
You know? So, I have an article that I want to talk about here, and it's Classic Rock 101. One genre, many definitions, many genres, many definitions. That's what it's called. Authored by Dave White and published on February 18th, 2019. So it's not too far back. Right. It was on a site called liveabout.com.
Okay.
The author possessed two critical questions. What makes classic rock classic? Is it the artist? Not automatically. While a group or artist may have released rock albums in the 70s, there's no automatic guarantee that everything they ever recorded or will record is automatically classic. Is it radio airplay and record sales? Not exclusively. In 1979, The Knack had the top-selling single of the year, My Sharona, from an album that went platinum in less than 2 months. After two more albums that were received far less enthusiastically, the group disbanded in the early 80s. Is it a particular style of music or lyric theme? Not so much. Led Zeppelin and the Beatles both recorded classic rock albums, but they hardly performed the same kind of music or had the same musical style. He also asks, who started it? Originally, the term was coined to define a radio format that featured rock music primarily from the 1970s. Later, the format was expanded to include some 60s and even 50s rock. Today, you'll even hear grunge, punk, and 80s hair bands on classic rock radio stations. Perhaps the best answer to the question lies in the word classic. Virtually every available dictionary definition of classic includes a key test. The most telling aspect of the adjective is that it describes something about which the same opinion has stood over a long period of time. People listen to it and feel the same way about it today as they did when it was first recorded. Test it yourself, he says. If you aren't sure whether a particular song or album should be considered classic rock, subject it to this test. Number 1, when was it recorded? If it was within the past 15 to 20 years, it wouldn't have been around long enough to be considered a classic, no matter how big a hit it was or who recorded it. On the other hand, the mere fact that it was recorded 40 years ago doesn't automatically mean it's considered classic either.
Agree.
Number 2, how big of a hit was it? It may have been a personal favorite of yours, but in order to qualify as a classic, it has to have been the personal favorite of a few million of your closest friends, too. Who recorded it? This will no doubt be a factor in how big a hit it was. But if only one or two songs from a particular album were widely accepted, it isn't likely the artist or group that falls into the classic category.
True.
Number 4, can you still hear it on the radio and find it online or in the record store? Purple People Eater may have been a huge hit in 1958, but you won't hear it on classic rock radio station today. As with automobiles, there is a big difference between classic and antique. Dr. Clark, do you know that song, Purple People?
Yeah, I do. It's a novelty. It's dreadful.
It's horrible?
Yeah, it's just a novelty song.
So, just as classic rock radio stations don't agree universally on what exact time period encompasses classic rock, and Dr. Clark mentioned that in the opening because it depends on the demographic of where you are, there isn't a hard and fast dictionary definition for us to apply. Through the process of listening to it, learning about it, and discussing it with others, you'll eventually be able to know it when you hear it. Now, can anybody told me who wrote the Book of Love? Unfortunately, in our opinion, this does not address a few key issues with this definition, which we have attempted to address in the past, but now we'll put our serious rock talk stamp with our own very definition of classic rock. Here is our own very definition.
Wait a second. I may have to disagree with it, but go ahead.
Okay. Classic rock is a genre of music that combines a particular guitar-driven rock sound with a simple drum beat, a solid bass line, which forms a rhythm, and a vocalist who has a set of lungs, and we have a rock band in a particular era of time. The classic rock era began in the early 60s with rock and roll bass bands like Beatles, Stones, and then Zeppelin and the Doors. The classic rock era ended in the early 80s. We usually say, 81, 83?
Yeah, I think so.
With the rise of modern pop music, it should not be confused with other rock genres like glam rock, David Bowie, heavy metal, Ozzy Osbourne, Metallica, hair metal, Poison, and Motley Crue. Even though new bands sometimes mimic the classic rock sound, example the Black Crowes, they are not considered a true classic rock band because they are in the wrong era, not early 60s to early 80s.
Sure.
However, classic rock bands from the original era who still produce new music out of the classic rock era, like the Rolling Stones, in my opinion, are grandfathered in and are still defined as classic rock if their style hasn't changed. And I don't think their style has changed.
No.
It's still the same kind of
Yeah,
bluesy.
I agree. Yeah, bluesy Roadhouse.
So as we know, classic rock is classic. The question we have as every year goes by is, what is classic rock? And what timeline does the classic rock era begin and when does it end?
We have spoken about this for like hours.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Well, let me hear what you have to say.
Well, there are a few options that
Okay.
have come up from various sources and articles that have provided their recommendation.
Sure.
And Dr. Clark will put his official stamp on
Damn
it.
right.
1966 to 74, 1962 to 81, 1966 to 83,
Wow. Yeah, interesting.
1958 to 1985 in Canada, where rockabilly morphed into classic rock. Ronnie Hawkins to Tom Cochrane. That's what I think in Canada.
Yeah.
71 to 85 in Canada. Again, the CRTC mandated that radio stations play Canadian content.
Wah, wah, wah.
That's right. Classic rock started with the Beatles and ended with Nirvana.
That's interesting. Okay.
The question remains the same, though. What is classic rock and where does the needle drop? The era is 25-year span. Sounds straightforward. Not anymore.
No.
Like my co-host and friend had stated in the past, the 25-year needle gets extended every year.
Though I don't know, I'm disagreeing with that now. I don't know if it works anymore, right? Because you're going to get some bizarre people. They won't fit the definition at all, Mr. Kennedy, if that happens, right?
Well, that's why, in my opinion, I agree with some rock enthusiasts that 66 to 83 is the most accurate timeline for classic rock. If you entered the game in 1984, you are in the modern rock era, even though I do like the timeline Beatles to Nirvana. Now, I have to specify Paul McCartney lead Beatles, because with Lennon it was kind of, like you said, pop, right?
It's pop, yeah.
So, classic rock is a genre, or is it a marketing term to sell memories of rock from the 1960s to 70s? As John Bonham from Led Zeppelin said, we're nothing to do with the Beatles. In a 1972 interview with the Australian Press, the Beatles are considered a pop group defined by choruses until 66 when McCartney took the lead, and their songs became heavier. If we start with the Beatles, 66 is where we can create a starting point. Some say that a classic rock was too vague for a definition, and it was created to differentiate rock from rap. I disagree, as I believe both genres help one another and cross-pollinate quite well on certain pieces. Aerosmith with Run DMC, Ozzy Osbourne and Post Malone, and Anthrax with Public Enemy.
Right.
The progressive rock era, Ian, is the same as classic rock. Early prog rock came to life in the early 70s, which include Pink Floyd, Rush, Supertramp, King Crimson,
Yep.
10 years after, and Yes, to name a few. I thought Yes was more new wave, but
They're pretty proggy.
they are. Okay.
Yeah.
The difference between classic rock and prog is guitar bass driven with individual melodies, and the other added a keyboard into the mix, which created a concerto or a symphonic based on how individual instruments can broaden the harmony and sound and extend its full potential musically. Enter Deep Purple as an example, where they could be both rock and progressive rock. Don't think that progressive rock was introduced for progression of change in rock music. It's misinterpreted by some, and that is not the case. It's a subgenre of classic rock music.
True.
Are we reaching a point where whatever gets dumped into the classic rock bin is classic rock and leave it? Not. There is still a criterion that needs to be upheld. Black Sabbath was defined as metal in 1978. A DJ refused to play them on the radio as he was worried they would offend listeners. Change the name from Black Sabbath to the Sabs, you soften them up, and the edgy rock becomes playable to the ears of the middle-aged types with the buying power.
Yeah.
Is Metallica thrash metal or classic rock? Why the Beatles and not the Beach Boys can be related to the Great American Songbook and writing sophistication. Both bands are song-oriented. The Beatles are a pop band and not a blues-driven band like the Stones, but they are considered classic rock, and the Beach Boys are not. There is just as many Beach Boy bootleg faithful as there are Beatle bootleg faithful.
True.
Is it marketing? Click, click.
Yep.
It's 20th century rock. Now, the best quote came from Canadian legendary radio announcer TJ Connors that used to be on Shea 106. And he says, classic rock as a radio format didn't happen until the 1980s. But for era, mid-60s, for sure. As an end date, it is uncommon to hear grunge lumped into the format now. So say 66 to 67 to 95. And that's a pretty wide window.
Wow. Yeah.
All right? The way I see it is the following. 66 to 83 is classic rock.
Right.
84 is the modern rock era. 87, the Seattle sound was formed, aka grunge. Since 91, the alternative rock genre has morphed from grunge. Rock and roll and rockabilly accompanied folklore. Folklore formed into rock. Rock, which then became classic rock, formed hard rock, prog rock, and punk. Hard rock formed metal. Metal formed industrial. Prog rock formed a new wave. Punk formed grunge. Grunge formed alternative. Alternative morphed with hard rock.
Right.
What do you think?
That's pretty good.
All right. As we reach the year 2025, we must consider the trajectory of bands that emerged in 2000. Now celebrating 25 years in the music industry, these groups have entered the quarter-century club, positioning themselves at the threshold of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They have the opportunity to embark on reunion tours and compile greatest hits albums, potentially spanning multiple volumes depending on their discography. Additionally, they may find themselves in the realm of a Vegas residencies, or even the subject of a Netflix biopic. As a generation that once supported them now regards their music as classic. With each passing year, the revival of their work may include vinyl releases of previously unreleased tracked or remastered versions, often reimagined with the help of new producers or collaborations with emerging pop and hip-hop artists. The rise of auto-tune in contemporary music raises questions about the tolerance and patience of traditional sound engineers who prioritize human talent and effort. Unlike the introduction of synthesizers, which still required a human touch to produce innovative and distinctive sounds, auto-tune often diminishes the authenticity of musical expression. Gene Simmons, Ian, your good old friend,
Sure, Gene.
co-founder of KISS, highlighted a significant shift in rock music, noting that from 58 to 1988, numerous rock icons emerged, but post-1988, the landscape has changed dramatically. Extending this observation to 2004, Vanilla Ice referred to this period as the lost generation, where music no longer mirrored the styles and fashions of the 80s and 90s. The advent of the iPhone and streaming service has further complicated the music industry, although there is a resurgence in the popularity of physical copies. I appreciate the perspective of both Simmons and Vanilla Ice, recognizing the potential for cross-pollination between genres, as evidenced by successful collaborations like Aerosmith and Run DMC, Public Enemy and Anthrax, and Post Malone and Ozzy Osbourne. These fusions have not only revitalized careers, but resonate with listeners like myself who have experienced the richness of music across multiple generations from the 60s through the 90s. To help further define the term classic rock, I have compiled a list of some bands, and definitely shoot them off to you, Ian.
Sure, let's go.
So I'm gonna start off with Cheap Trick first.
Right.
Ian, where do we put them as classic rock?
Yeah, they've been around a long time, and Live at Bukadon is like a classic album, right?
So my question about Cheap Trick, and I told Ian I want to ask him this, is that they were produced by George Martin after he left, after the Beatles disassembled. Where did Cheap Trick go from being headliner to now opening act, and sometimes even pre-opening act?
I know.
What the hell happened?
It happened because, in my opinion, they just didn't keep the hits coming. They had Live at Bukadon, which is a great live album, and then that was the peak. It happens to a lot of bands, and they usually wash up in Vegas. Sorry, I can go through 10, 15 bands that happened to. They were huge, and now they're just doing lounges.
So I've considered major bands that are considered classic rock. This is what we have. So Cheap Trick's is one of them.
Sure.
Led Zeppelin.
Well, yeah, I mean...
Beatles.
Sure.
Stones.
Yeah.
Doors.
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Yeah.
The Who.
Yeah.
Floyd.
Yeah.
The Eagles.
Yeah.
Rush.
Yeah.
Aerosmith.
Well, yeah.
Janis.
Yeah, sure, she's classic rock.
Allman Brothers Blues Band. Ian, I kind of consider them folk country-ish.
Well, they're really southern rock, but they will get played easily on classic stations. Live at the Fillmore.
I consider them also in the same category as the Marshall Tucker Band.
Yeah, that kind of
crossover country.
Yeah, that kind of thing. You're right.
Eric Clapton, but they put here including Cream and Derek and the Dominoes.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not even
CCR.
Oh, obviously.
Yes.
Yep.
Frampton Comes Alive.
Peter Frampton was around, before that album. Yeah, he's classic.
Love.
Well, yeah, great band from the 60s.
Santana.
Yeah.
Your favorite Tom Petty? 77.
I guess you gotta include him, but anyway, I just don't get him. Sorry to the listeners.
He's Florida rock.
Yeah, really, he's such a hose head. I never understood it, but I know.
Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously Queen.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to consider Sabbath there, or are you going to put them in metal?
I'm going to put it, when my little introduction, I have a hybrid. They're classic rock, but they're also metal. Like the Eagles are country rock, but they're also classic rock.
So could Skynyrd fall in the same category?
Yeah, we could do classic rock and southern rock.
Okay. Deep Purple?
Deep Purple's a classic, yeah. They've been around forever.
The Guess Who?
They're classic rock.
This one here, you wanted me to put on the Stampeders.
Yeah, they're classic Canadian rock for sure.
Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Yeah, they're classic. They're in the 70s.
April Wine.
Yeah, okay, but they don't get a lot of airplay, but okay.
Underrated band, to be honest.
They're actually really good musicians. Yeah.
The Band.
Oh, mega classic, but a hybrid. I would say almost like country and classic.
Your favorite? I want to be a singer, Dad.
Oh, Neil Young. Yeah, he's really a folk rock hybrid and proud of it.
Boston?
Yeah, they're classic for sure.
Beck.
Jeff Beck is classic, yeah.
Mountain.
Wow, what a great band, yeah.
Jefferson Airplane?
Yeah, classic.
This one here for sure. The Byrds?
Yeah, they're a hybrid, okay, classic rock and folk rock.
Kinks?
Yeah, the Kinks are a really interesting band. By the way, tribute, they're coming out with another album.
I read that.
Oh my God, I think the brothers are left anyway.
Paul McCartney's touring.
Stop.
I swear.
Oh God.
Triumph?
Yeah, a great band, Rick Emmett, sure.
Saga?
You're going down the list of these Canadian. Well, Saga's a classic rock. Okay. Canadian rock.
Now, this is a category they put bands that are considered classic rock due to a varied sound and overlapping era. I can't wait to see your face.
Yeah, let's go.
Bob Dylan.
Oh, yeah. I never consider Bob Dylan a rocker. He's a folk artist who uses electric guitar. Like maybe a hybrid. Maybe he's played on classic rock stations, but he's really a folk artist.
Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, Fleetwood Mac. Maybe classic for a whole bunch of reasons, but because of this, they're around the 60s with Peter Green, right?
The Police.
No, I have to stop at that one. I don't think they're classic rock. I don't know if they're new wave.
5-year run.
Yeah, but a 5-year run. They have 5 albums, 6 albums, and they were these dull little catchy songs, and it was really new wave-ish. They were punky new wave. Not rebel punk like the Sex Pistols, but punky haircuts and stuff.
This one here always threw me for a curveball. Steely Dan.
Yeah, they're classic. I never thought. I thought of them as kind of a jazz fusion, but they are played a lot. And Azure is actually a great album.
Journey.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Why not?
Grateful Dead.
Absolutely.
AC/DC.
Pure classic.
Van Halen, and they put here in quotes, mostly heavy metal though.
I don't know. Maybe, okay, I'll go for a hybrid. Plus, I think when Roth left, I think maybe the classic stuff ended, but okay.
When Roth left, I found that they got a little heavier with Sammy.
Yeah, right.
This one here, I'm going to quote Cosmo, the brilliant one. David
Bowie.
Yeah,
Bowie. I know earlier you said he's glammy. He is glammy, but then he got out of that. And I think he's classic rock.
Def Leppard.
Yeah, it's classic rock.
They started off as metal.
I know. They're a hybrid. They're actually, I would put them more in metal.
Yeah. ELO.
Classic rock.
Canned Heat.
Okay, well, no one really knows them, but they're...
You do.
I do. I'm going up the country, water tastes like... Yeah, they're really... Woodstock made those guys. They're folk rock. I'll do a hybrid on them.
Maiden. Iron Maiden.
I just think of them as metal.
I've always considered them metal.
Yeah, I don't see them as...
Metallica, I always consider them metal.
So do I.
They have 4 solid ballads, but to me it's still metal.
It's still metal.
Where we're putting Kiss.
I'm going to throw that back to you. I'm going to put them... They're almost a hybrid band. Kiss are more poppy than people think, right? Some of their hits, You'd Rock Me All Night Long, is not like heavy rock. You know what I mean? I don't think so. Do you?
My buddy Hamilton Dave would give me the whole rundown. He loves Kiss.
Well, what does he think they are?
I think he would put him as rock.
Yeah, so would I, really.
You know?
Yeah.
Styx. Babe, I'm leaving.
Yeah. Oh, what an irritating band. But they're classic rock.
Isn't Gowan in that one?
For a while he was, yeah.
So are they Canadian?
I know, Larry Gowan. Actually, good voice. But anyway.
Same with Skid Row. Are they Canadian because of Bach?
Sebastian?
Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. Teach your children well. I love that song.
That's a good song.
Folk-ish?
I'm going to say folk rock.
Be True to the Crew, Motley Crue.
Motley Crue, I'm going to say...
Hair metal.
Okay, hair. I'll go for hair, yeah.
Brian Adams. His later stuff is poppy.
He's really pop. I'm going to say... Is he a classic rock? I don't hear...
75 to 90... Honestly, after 95... Like his stuff in the 2000s? No.
Okay, well... we'll
Hybrid?
Hybrid.
Is there a hybrid rock pop artist or classic rock pop?
Anthem rock.
Yeah, well, that's what he is. He's basically an arena guy.
He's really good, yeah. For that.
John Mellencamp.
Oh, now you're putting me in pain.
Folklore-ish.
Melonhead, yeah, he's like a Springsteen's little brother. He's a hybrid.
Faces.
Well, that's classic rock, yeah.
ZZ Top.
Massive classic.
Not blues?
Nah, you could maybe go like make it Texas rock, but they're classic rock.
Supertramp.
Yeah, interesting band. They're kind of very proggy, but at the time we didn't pick up on that. But because they're all keyboard based, but they're classic.
Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band.
Yeah, around forever. They're classic rock.
REM. College rock.
What's that?
Something with college rock because they
Yeah,
were
I know.
It's like they cater to colleges.
Campus rock. I'm going to say no. I don't think REM is classic rock.
Ozzy Osbourne.
Hybrid.
Cooper. Alice.
Oh, he is, or they.
Metal. I don't know how they consider him metal. He's not heavy enough for me.
He's not heavy enough for metal. He's a hybrid, but I think he's really a rocker.
Dio.
I'm going to go heavy on that.
King Crimson.
Mega prog.
In Excess.
Ooh, interesting.
I got him as Wave.
Do you?
I got him as New Wave.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
Same with this one here, Midnight Oil.
Yeah, they're definitely.
This one here, I get so many mixed reviews. Prog, this, that, metal. Ian, you have the answer. I know you do. Jethro Tull.
Oh, wow. Good for you. I mean, that's a tough one. They're really proggy. You know, Thick as a Brick and those kind of albums. That's prog for sure.
Scorpions.
I'm going to go for, what would you say, metal?
Yeah, they're pretty heavy.
They're pretty heavy.
In Germany, they had like this German hard rock.
I know, no one-
wave going, you know.
Yeah.
And then it went into like it morphed into like industrial, like with Rammstein.
Yeah, I mean, people used to refer to as krautrock, but they're different. They're metal.
Dire Straits.
Well, they're classic, but interesting hybrid. Very mellow. You know, Mark Knopfler.
Poison.
I'm going heavy.
Okay. Judas Priest.
Well,
I don't know how they're considered heavy metal. I don't.
Yeah, what would you say?
Considering the timeline of where they started, I'm gonna put it. Honestly, I put them as just classic rock.
Yeah, so would
I
I.
can't put them as metal because okay, they have some heavy riffs, but so do the friggin' Beatles.
Yes, that's right. We know what metal is.
Twisted Sister.
I would say I'm uncomfortable with metal.
Okay. Foreigner.
Oh, interesting. Definitely not metal. Foreigner are like a, they're poppy, heavier but poppy. It feels
Modern rock, maybe. Even they were formed in the '70s.
feels like the first time. Like they're pop for me.
Because they have a couple. They have two solid ballads.
Oh, they got some great songs.
Air Supply.
Air Supply. They were in Vegas last time. So Air Supply. I'm gonna go rock pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh, interesting. I'm just gonna say classic rock.
Ramones.
Punk for sure, like punk godfathers.
Grand Funk Railroad.
Oh, now they're classic rock. Yeah, sure.
Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Mega prog.
Runaways.
I thought it was a novelty act, but I'll say classic rock.
T-Rex.
Very glam, but now people forget about glam. They go classic.
I didn't realize Mark Bolan passed away young.
Oh, he's in his 30s.
Wow.
Car accident.
Humble Pie.
Humble Pie, Peter Frampton. That's classic.
They got here a category, Ian, that you probably will say, yeah, okay. Newer bands that are wrongly classified as classic rock. Nirvana.
Agree.
Pearl Jam.
Agree.
Guns N' Roses.
Um,
They're heavy.
yeah, they're pretty heavy, yeah.
U2.
I don't think they're classic rock. I know people. Yeah, they're almost new wave / light punky, because they came out, at that time.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, and they came out in '83, right at that cusp. That
Yeah.
line.
Oh, Red Hot's classic rock. My gut tells me no.
That's right, because they have here in brackets funk metal.
Yeah, okay.
Bon Jovi, again, '83, right at that.
I know, but you hear some of his ballads are classic stations, but I don't consider John Bon Jovi classic rock.
Modern.
Yeah, modern rock.
Soundgarden.
No, not classic.
Huey Lewis and the News.
No. Okay, I was there. They're kind of
1980, they started.
yeah, they were huge for like 18 seconds.
They classify. What are you gonna classify it as?
I'm gonna say pop rock, maybe.
So they have a term here which I never heard of, but I know you probably did. pub rock, adult contemporary American trad rock. What the hell is that?
Okay, pub rock was a throwaway if you couldn't classify someone.
Okay. Green Day.
Green Day is not classic rock.
The Tragically Hip.
Not classic rock.
The Cult.
No, they're not. By the way, a great band.
Foo Fighters.
I don't think the Foos are classic rock. I think they're a hybrid. Wait a second. What do you think?
They're labeled as a garage band.
That's good. I like that, actually.
Because they bring the garage with them.
Yeah, really. I love garage bands.
Nickelback.
It's
Tell me
not.
what you think, and I'll tell you how they had it classified.
Yeah, they're not classic rock, and they're not heavy metal. They're not that heavy. They're a rock band for me.
They started in '96.
Yeah.
So now they're eligible for Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
But what do you say there?
They started off as grunge, to be honest.
Yeah.
The first album's pretty grungy, and then I think they're hard rock.
Yeah, hard rock.
All right, this is an interesting one, Ian. I want to see what you think. Beastie Boys. Now they formed in '79, originally known as the Young Aborigines. So, what do you think you classify Beastie Boys?
The big problem with the Beasties is they've gone through more changes than Bowie. So I don't see them as classic rock. I just see them as kind of pop culture innovators. You know what I'm saying?
They went with the times.
They went with the times.
So I kind of put them like rap, metal, punk, hard rock.
Okay.
They cover all the bases.
Yeah.
Here's something that you're going to like. Bands from the 60s and 70s and 80s that are not classic rock, wrong sound. Beach Boys.
I disagree with that. I think the Beach Boys are should be considered classic rock. I don't know who else were to... Okay, you're going to have to make up a category like Jan and Dean and these guys with beach rock or something. I think it's goofy. Just call them classic rock.
The Monkees.
No, the Monkees, I love the Monkees, but they're not classic rock.
Bob Marley.
No, reggae.
Steve Miller.
He is classic rock, yeah.
The Clash.
No, Clash isn't classic rock.
Social Distortion.
No, it's not classic rock.
James Brown.
No, I wouldn't do that to him.
Stevie Wonder.
No, but they might play him a bit. By the way, folks, we once did a show on Motown where we try to explain.
That's what they have him as, Motown.
Yeah, Motown is on its own. I'm sorry. Like, are the Supremes classic rock? No.
Sex Pistols.
Absolutely not.
The Cars.
No.
Elvis Costello.
No.
Duran Duran.
No. Good band, by the way. No.
Genesis.
Prague.
Hall & Oates.
Interesting. They're really pop rock.
Yeah, they got dance rock. The hell? Oh, geez, wow. Doobie Brothers. How could we forget about them?
Doobies are great.
Again, Southern Country.
Yeah, they
Hybrid.
Yeah, hybrid.
Blondie.
Massive new wave.
Bad Company.
Oh, I would say they're classic rock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Depeche Mode.
No.
Badfinger.
Badfinger is pop rock.
All right. And here's interesting bands that are eligible for classic rock and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm just going to fire them off here.
Sure.
Kings of Leon, Casting Crowns, The White Stripes, Animal Collective, Rise Against, Bell X1, The Gorillaz, Sufjan Stevens, Linkin Park. I don't know why they put Pink on here, but apparently Pink is Pink, female artist.
Yeah, she's actually a good voice, but rock?
Interpol, The Knife, Anthony and Johnson's, The New Pornographers,
Yeah.
Ryan Adams, Nelly Furtado,
Oh, come on.
Andrew WK, and this one here I'm okay with, Good Charlotte.
Yeah, I just find that list bizarre, but
I find this list sad because
Yeah.
this is what's eligible for the Rock and Roll of Fame.
there's Nelly.
Yeah, the rapper.
Yeah.
And that's what I got.
Well, thank you. I hope our listeners found it informative as I did. I mean, you brought up some great stuff, and you can tell out there we're trying, and we'll try again next year, so to speak, to define this. But you can't. It's a moving target. It is what you want it to be. I told you what I feel it is. Mr. Kennedy told you what he feels it is. We kind of met halfway, and we agree, and just go with it from there. start listening to some like classic rock on Spotify. I know it's alphanumeric, this and that, and logarithm, but they are pretty good at putting borders at either side.
Well, with that note, I'm going to say good night. And Dr. Clark,
Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you soon.
see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Au revoir.